phones during the meeting. Meetings are televised on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and at midnight, and they are always available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. Well, hello. Tonight we're going to start with the overview of the municipal court fees and fines, and Penny, you're here to tell us all about it.
So, Mayor and Commission, you'll recall that during the day-long budget session, there were questions on the decline in court revenues over the last 10 years. This presentation just provides a high-level overview of those fees and some of those trends. No action is being requested from the Commission tonight. So I have a slide here that shows, here is our municipal court team. And three of them have joined us to answer questions tonight if necessary. So we have Judge Gary Fuller, City Prosecutor Catalina Thompson, and Court Supervisor Bobby Johnson. So as you all know, only items that are municipal violations come to our municipal court. They're generally less serious crimes in comparison to those in district court, although all crimes and traffic violations can be serious. The city manager appoints the judge, so Paul and I worked on hiring Judge Fuller after the passing of the previous judge. I oversee the team as their department head, and the team also includes 2 public defenders for indigent clients who are faced with certain types of crimes and can't afford their own attorney. So here is the highlight and a great follow-up from last week. It's the City Commission that sets the ordinances that we use in municipal court. So last week, the Deputy Police Chief Dan Nicodemus requested that you approve the update to called the STO and the UPOC. That's the Standard Traffic Ordinance and the Uniform Public Offense Code. Usually that's reviewed by city staff, looking at legislative updates before it's provided to the commission annually, and so that was done last week. The commission can choose to not adopt or to amend any portion of that. We've done that in limited circumstances. You may recall we looked at bird scooters, and we changed our ordinances to allow electric scooters in the city of Leavenworth. Some cities have had conversations about adjusting their approach to, let's say, a marijuana possession as an example. So at the end of the day, the local ordinances all come to the commission and are under your purview, and the court carries out that direction. So for those who choose to break the law, there can be financial penalties. In budget terms, those are fees and fines. We would call those revenues. So revenues have been consistently down over time. You can see the graph, it's also included in your packet. Since 2019 to last year, there was about a $200,000 reduction in fees and fines, and that has a direct impact on the city's budget.
Why is that, you know?
So I have a couple options. Really, the number one reason is...
I'm going to say that, sorry.
We simply have fewer officers that are writing mostly traffic citations. I'm sure if Chief Kitchens were here, he'd say we'd love to have more officers. I think we're doing a good job with what we have, but given the staffing, it forces us to just prioritize crimes over simple sitting at a corner and traffic enforcement. So some of that has just occurred over time with the city's different prioritization.
And that, to be clear, that's a hiring issue, not a budget issue.
Correct.
We budget for enough positions, we cannot hire to fill them.
Right.
And you'll hear that from lots of other cities and lots of other places. So we're not unique in just the struggle to hire law enforcement officers. So if anyone's watching this and is interested, please give us a call. We'd love to get great officers on our team. So what that means is, with fewer citations and lower citations being written by the police department is one aspect, and probably the largest. There may be some other items. We would hope perhaps crime is down, and I think our last annual report from the police department reflects some of that, but generally that's the biggest reason. So that means that we have regroup unpaid fees and fines. So when we do have the citations being written, they go to court, and the judge will relay the fees or fines that are due and they're found guilty. And we have a good amount of those that are unpaid. So these are rough figures that I had the court run, but you'll see these are pretty significant numbers. So about 1.5 million fines are due to the court that are in a warrant status, and an additional 400,000 are estimated in outstanding fines. I do want to sort of make sure we include that some of that is state mandatory fees that the city collects and passes along to the state of Kansas. So they have a whole list of fees based on the type of infraction that we collect a $20 fee and we pass it along, or a $50 fee. So I don't really want to focus much on that, but I would estimate of the amount due for collections, let's say 10 to 20% of that probably is passed along to the state. So this isn't the full, complete picture of what would come to the city.
How far back does that go, Penny?
So
Long time? Long way?
The information that I have on this goes back to 2013.
Wow. So at what point do we say, probably not getting that money in the next 12 years?
So that's, I think, one of the reasons that this came up at the budget session is sort of, wow, that's a large dollar amount, given our budget situation, what can we do about that? In the last slide, you'll see some potential ways that we could consider if we would get the commission's direction to look at that. We talked about maybe collections, maybe amnesty. So I think that's probably a good item for the city commission to provide us some thoughts on as we walk through this presentation. So I think
Is that an open receivables amount somewhere inside city finances?
that's correct. So those
Oh,
are
gosh.
amounts owed to the municipal court
it's a long time
by
back.
people who have been found guilty and have fees and fines. Again, some of that goes to the state directly, but I'll walk you through some of the simple stuff. So and I think we'll get to answering your question, give you about three
for sure,
slides, because
for
I think
sure.
that's where we want to head with this, right? Is what does that mean and what can we do about that? So as an example, some of those fees are from the court administrative fee. So that was set by the city commission in 2011. Long story short, we did a charter ordinance in 2011 that allowed fees and fines to be set by the city. So then the city commission followed it up with a regular ordinance that set a $25 administrative fee for traffic violations and a $50 administrative fee for offenses requiring court. We have a list, and it shows that Leavenworth is one of the lowest in the state on those administrative fees, and it may be time to look at possibly increasing those fees, although that leads back to the question of if people aren't paying, then what's the value of increasing the fee? I would say, as a general rule, most people pay, because otherwise in the end there are consequences. At the same time, it might be worth something to consider if we're looking just purely at it from a budget situation. We're also, just to talk the revenues real quickly, we're at a point where the revenues we're taking in, due to lack of collections, are not covering the court expenses by roughly $50,000 every year. So what that means is the taxpayers are subsidizing the overall court operations by that amount every year. So just something to consider. So when we're talking about municipal court, we're talking the general fund. General fund funds police, funds fire, funds public works for the most part. So that's the pool of money that right now is covering court. So could you potentially raise an administrative fee, and those who pay, that would increase revenues, we could cover some of that expense? That's a possibility. So I just wanted to provide sort of some tangible examples of outstanding fees and fines. So, and also go into sort of where the fees and fines come from, right? So we talked about the city commission passed the regular ordinance and does what we would call a court administrative fee. Then we get on to fines, so traffic fines specifically. So there's a fee schedule that's set by the municipal judge that outlines fees for those type of traffic infractions. So this is one example. If you are speeding in the city of Leavenworth and you're going over 10 miles per hour over the limit, there's a $25 administrative fee, and then that's usually a $100 fine for the first offense. So just to kind of give you a flavor of sort of where some of these fees and fines come from. So I would say they're set by the municipal judge, but there are state maximums that we have to fall within. And we also did implement an online system for court last year. So that means you can simply pay online and you don't need to show up to court or show up at the window for municipal court. So hopefully that's encouraging more people to simply go online and pay that. And it's not having to really become a court action. And then there's other offenses. So we have the administrative fee, we have the traffic fines, and then there's other offenses. Usually what will happen in court is they will review the facts of the case, the prosecutor will make a recommendation, and ultimately the judge determines that amount based on the facts of the case and the severity, but also amounts or ranges are set in the UPOC or other municipal code. So there's a range, but usually the judge will then look at that range and set it based on his or her review of that. And then I did include in this, just to give you an understanding of what that could look like. So roughly there's 4 types of cases that come through on the criminal side. So a Class A, that's up to a $2,500 fine. Class B, up to a $1,000 fine. Class C and some unclassifieds are up to a $500 fine, just to kind of give you an idea of the maximums. I've sat in court fairly often and I haven't seen the judge usually go to the maximum. Again, determines it based on the facts of the case and the severity of the crime. But that's where some of those amounts come from. And then for non-payment, so for clients that are found guilty, they need to either pay the fees and fines or show up to court and explain why they can't pay. The judge may establish a payment plan. Some who do not pay receive a notice to appear in court, so a letter must appear. If they still don't show up, they can have a bench warrant issued for their arrest. So I know the judge is sitting behind me and I can read his thoughts, and he's saying, make sure to say in the public forum, we do not arrest people for non-payment of fees and fines. They are arrested if they don't pay and they don't show up to court to provide some sort of explanation. But eventually, there is a possibility that if this goes on for a while and they've received multiple letters, multiple contacts, and they're not showing up to court, that it could result in a bench warrant. So that would mean they'd be subject to arrest. And there's also fees that go along with the court having to track that activity. So the letter must appear is $50, and the failure to appear letter is also $50. So you can see some of these fees come from their lack of doing the right thing the first time. So I just had this on here as an example, disorderly conduct. They're found guilty, maybe it's a $300 fine. This would be a $50 administrative fee. If they don't appear, it's a $50 cost, letter must appear. If they don't appear in court again, another $50 cost for the failure to appear, and potentially a bench warrant. So they now owe $450 plus arrest and possible jail time. So the goal is that people are paying these fees and fines.
And you're saying they
on
can
the
do
schedule.
payments on this, $450?
So I'll
up to the
speak
judge.
for the judge, and then I'll feel free if there's specific questions we can ask him. So what would always happen is we just want folks to come up to court and get these things addressed. If they don't appear, or if they do appear and they say, I just got a new job, I can't pay the full amount, what I have seen is the judge will say, okay, how much can we do in 30 days? We'll get you on a schedule. And we'll set the next court date. So by the next court date, you need to either pay that amount or show up and explain why. So again, ideally, they're going to get on a payment plan, and that will happen. Again, that's up to the determination of the municipal judge. But I've seen a lot of understanding amidst our court and its approach to people wanting to do the right thing and pay the fees and fines over time.
Or don't pay, and maybe you don't have to pay for 12 years. Right. Sorry, just using the numbers you used earlier.
So, I mean.
That's not a slam on you, Judge, no, not at all.
And at that point.
That blows my mind, I agree with you, that blows my mind,
I mean,
Well, the alternative is, okay, let's say there's jail time.
Do you wanna feel
that's
free to-
available.
Yeah, sit up here.
They don't have any money, so then.
Up a creek anyway,
then you
right?
order them to do jail time, $60 a day that the city's paying. So
Yeah.
then you've not only lost that money, but also the $60 a day in jail time. So it's kind of a balancing, you try to,
It sounds
I
like
don't
it.
try to put people in jail, I try to keep them out of jail and just make the payments, I guess, is what I try to do. But But that's the problem, because just putting people in jail at $6 a day is only going to further cost for the city. But
No, I
Yeah,
appreciate
we're
that.
paying for them when they're in jail, too.
No, for sure. Wait, you might have this, Penny. Do we have a breakdown? Like, what gets paid by category of offense more than others?
I don't. These were just kind of a general overview numbers. We could certainly dig in based on the commission's direction if you wanted more information.
I mean, I would be curious, because it's like, if we see what is normally getting paid and what doesn't, it doesn't mean that one crime is less than, I'm not saying that, it's just, I would love to know what that looks like, because, yeah, and our judge is doing his job, you know, it's just, it is what it is, it's out there.
But even if we know,
so.
what can we do about it?
Well, I would love to see what the numbers say, you know, a little bit.
I mean, we will get those numbers for you. I can already guess that those numbers are gonna break down on socioeconomic lines. You know, the crimes that tend to be committed by people who can afford to pay the fines are gonna be paid. And the crimes that are committed by those who can't are gonna be the ones that don't get paid.
And I think that's one of the things about a shortage in having traffic officers, because those are the kind of cases where people pay, because people are going to work, they're doing things.
I was going through my
Yeah.
mind, I wonder if that
Yeah,
was
and
maybe the
that's-
case.
And that's, I think that's one of the, being down with officers. And anybody that's lived here for a while and drives 4th Street, you used to always see officers.
Yeah.
Always on 4th Street, and you don't see many of them now.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, I think Lansing, which is a much smaller community, had more traffic citations, actual traffic citations than.
Always see them, so,
Yes, yeah, you gotta watch
they're-
out when you go to
know how
Lansing.
they patrol, so
Speed
they're out
traps.
there, so.
Well, here's a question I got. It's kind of hypothetical, but it seems like Chief Kitchens has maintained a certain amount of percentage of hire, you know, from everything that's been budgeted the last few years. It's gone up and down, ebb and flowed. What would the thought be maybe around potentially hiring beyond budget from a planning standpoint, knowing we still have a certain amount of employee float that's always there, so that we can maintain a little bit more, you know, almost maximum capacity of budget?
So we account for that in the budget, in that, you know, we never are able to hire up to our cap. So when we tell you in our budget, we're assuming for 6 vacancies. If we get applicants to fill those 6 vacancies, we'll fill them. We assume that we're not gonna be able to.
So that's what I'm saying, what can we stretch it to 12 vacancies, basically is what I'm saying. Can we go beyond, since we know we're still not going to?
Right, 'cause
Well, but if we had a bigger department, I mean, we'd have to find them, right? I mean, like, but we're limiting ourselves because of our budget, is what I'm saying.
I have to respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
We cannot get the officers here in to apply and in uniform. If we reach the point where, hey, we're so overloaded with applicants that we come back to you for more, you know, we say, hey, we need to get more jobs, you know, in our budget, we would do that. But I mean, if I had 12 vacancies, then that's just 6 more empty positions that I have to account for in my budget.
No, I was just curious, if we always have, or 10% down approximately from what our max is, well, if we could only hire 40, that would become the budget, and we would base our hiring practices and what we'd try to be looking for based off of what we could maximally, you know, fill, right? So I was wondering if we could go beyond that, you know, what that would look like.
Sure, I mean, I can show you what the numbers would look like, but I mean,
I was just
we are
curious.
always hiring for maximum occupancy in our fire and our police departments. You know, always, however many we can get to fill it, that's what we're hiring for. We just don't get there, because I mean, we get 1 or 2, we lose another 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And so and so we, past city commissions have said, let's not prioritize traffic division, let's prioritize crime and calls and all that. So the traffic division is the first to be emptied. We have a sergeant that oversees the traffic division, but he has literally no officers in there to oversee. So he goes on patrol. So I mean, if you guys say, hey, let's point some more resources towards traffic, I'm sure Chief Kitchens can make that work. I just want to emphasize that if we do try to budget for more positions, we're not going to just get more officers, if that, like, because they're just not applying. Or if the ones that do apply, we lose others.
Yeah.
So.
No, I appreciate that. Judge, in your opinion, if you could wave your wand, what would you, you know?
Well, there's also the issue where municipal court's not a revenue, cannot be a revenue generating
Right.
department, so you have the balance there too. But I do think that is the difference though, as far as revenue, at least partially, is just the traffic citations, because if we're speeding, things like that, because those are the people that can pay.
Well, and the
They
fine
get the
balance
fine.
of, you know, you have taxpayers that subsidize, right, when it is down, so.
So it's, but the jail thing's a problem though, putting people in jail, even when they don't appear. Then they're sitting in jail, they're already indigent, so they have no money, so then the city's paying $60 a day to have them in jail, because these are the people that have, not only for non-appearance, but also a lot of people where there is an underlying jail sentence that was not imposed. And so it's either supervised or unsupervised probation, but they're just not able to pay. So,
Oh,
yeah.
no, I appreciate the insight, yeah, thank you for that.
And then for the team too, while you're up here, I think we know then we're tracking $1.5 million worth of outstanding cases. So those are all open cases on the court system that we're tracking. So it also, it's potential jail time and the fees that go to the general fund. It's open court cases, and that's not an efficient system. So there's definitely some impacts besides just to city revenues.
Yeah, and it actually goes back longer than 2015. We had a 2011 in court just Thursday, and I mean, they just stay there. They're just in the system, you know, and every now and then they'll get picked up. It might be a district court case, but they still have the Leavenworth city warrant too. So, and when they have the district court case, we automatically, you know, parole them from our,
Sure.
yeah, so we're not paying for it, but it's a problem.
Curious, Judge, have you considered any alternatives for individuals who can't afford to pay, maybe community services?
There was a program several years ago, not since I've been on the bench. I've been on the bench for 3 years, but prior to that, they were trying to do a community service program. And I think the problem they had with the limited staff, there were 2 probation officers at that time, and they're trying to also run this community program while they're still trying to deal with the volume they had in city court. So I think that it just became unmanageable, so
It's too bad.
it terminated. I think it was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but that has been tried, and that's an option, but
Our Parks and Recreation used to use them a lot.
For what it's worth, Ken Bateman in the audience here and I just had a conversation about it today, talking about a lot of work that could be done downtown to
That's what I
help
was thinking.
beautify
Pulling the
downtown.
weeds.
Pulling weeds. Yeah.
Painting
weeds.
curbs, you know, things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, certainly agree with, you know, you're gonna have to pay for somebody to manage that program. But, I think there certainly is a demand for it in the city.
I remember when I was 16, I ran a stop sign and I had to do community service, 30 hours.
What'd you do?
I didn't come to a full, complete stop.
California style.
Yeah,
California's.
that's all right.
What was your
But
service then?
I worked at the county I don't know.
Infirmary, yeah.
Infirmary, yeah. And I did laundry every weekend for like 3 weekends. But I learned my lesson,
Yeah.
you know, and then, I helped out. So I think it's a great program. I love the idea of our downtown.
And then you learned how to do laundry.
I did. It was a win-win for my
At least
parents.
you didn't have to empty bedpans and stuff like that.
No.
So you think that require a full-time position, right?
Well, I don't know about a full-time, but it would.
We'd have to look at staffing
Yeah,
for something like
Take a
that.
look at it, but I'm certainly open to community service. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
anything I'm open to trying to get rid of some of the old cases that we have too, because we're still keeping those files. And,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, years later, they'll come, into court when somebody else picks them up. And then we're dealing with it again, so,
Wow.
yeah, it'd be nice to have some kind of termination.
Yeah, like we do with our city stuff here. Can't they do the same thing? Where we retire the old,
That's good.
Roberta retires the old ones, yeah.
The answer is yes, we can. I think we'll get to that.
Okay,
Oh.
let's finish.
Or maybe not. Looks like Penny's writing it down.
Interrupting Penny.
Well, so the answer to that is yes, maybe not through the court system per se. That would potentially be maybe through a collections process. So that is one of this is the last slide that I have, is sort of just things for the commission to consider. If we were to do a collections process, which is what District Court does, so Leavenworth County and Lansing does, is then what they've done is they hire a contractor, and that person takes on the collections efforts and does what they can to collect it, and that, then comes back to the court when those are addressed, if they're addressed. So I'd say that would be the process.
Yeah.
Again, we'd have to look into whether there's any legal way to just sort of write those off. I'm unfamiliar with it, but we'd have to look into that further. The other, thing to consider is in 2019, for 4 hours, the city did an amnesty program, which is where if you would pay your fees and fines then, we would cancel out any of those additional fees. So you recall that $50 fee here and that $50 fee here. It was if you pay the original amount of what you owed, then we would discount everything else. So that was a program that we did. I don't know how successful that was.
I remember
That was before
that.
my time here.
Can't remember how much they wrote off, but ended up
So that's a consideration.
getting in. We have to look back at that and see, because I remember that, and I thought it was pretty successful from what I heard, but I can't remember now.
Just out of curiosity, any rough idea on how many active warrants or bench warrants we have out right now?
I don't know a number.
Even crazy guess?
Thousands.
I'm not so sure.
We can get back
Is
to
it
you
the
on.
hundreds or
That's
thousands
all right.
or?
That's all right.
Oh, it's
Easily dozens,
easily over 100.
hundreds
Okay,
or
okay.
so, yeah.
I would say with the warrants, the thing that I see that's problematic with that is we're incarcerating people who don't show and don't pay. So as the judge says, that's an additional cost to the city, but also if we're talking collections and what would be better for the public, I think I would rather have a collection agency call me than be arrested and placed in jail. So there's some of that to be considered in whatever the city decides it wants to move forward on. But I think there's that consideration. What we've done in another city that I work with is you get 3. So if you've missed your payment and you've missed your appearance 3 times, then the 3rd time it gets into collections. So, there is an attempt to, if they are coming in and making regular payments and someone has a problem, we're not going to send that person to collections. If you're coming in and telling us you're having an issue with payments, our judge has always been very understanding of that, understanding that life happens and we can't always make those payments. So this is another possible avenue we could look at to recover those, and that would be one way to get a lot of those warrants cleared and, get those things moving. So we wouldn't have these 12-year-old or however old they are cases where people haven't been paid.
And at the judicial, municipal court judges have to attend 2 days of judicial training every year. And there was just at the last one last year, there was just, there was over 100 judges there. And it was brought up just by show of hands, how many departments are using collections. And I'd say about half
Really?
of the people in the room were using collections.
Wow.
Yeah. But
No, I appreciate the insight. I don't know if I've seen that number before, 1.5 like that. But anyway.
I mean, it's not necessarily something that we have tracked closely. It sort of happened gradually over time. But when you really look at it, I mean, $200,000 difference in the last 6 years, that's a big number. Again, 10 to 20% of that likely going to the state, but that's still a pretty decent number for our budget. And just one other thing to keep in mind too, I looked at this sort of, why would folks not pay, right? That's the question. I feel like everyone in this room, likely if they got the citation or ticket, would take care of it. I'm sure most of us are tracking that Leavenworth just has a slightly higher poverty rate than the state of Kansas. So I pulled the numbers and it was Leavenworth has a 12.3% poverty rate compared to 11.7% for the state overall. So there may be more people in this community that would struggle to pay. So as the judge said,
as we all know,
socioeconomic.
our sales tax is way down. So I would imagine there's some tracking with all that,
So that's really the presentation that, we had for you tonight. Love to get, all your questions answered if we can, if not on the spot, then we can certainly look into further information. So there's no action being required. We're not saying we're looking for your approval to pursue a collection. It's something to consider. We're not saying amnesty, but I think potentially all these options are on the table. One, to clear up the court system, and two, to see if there's any way we can make some changes in the outstanding revenues due to the city.
Yeah, I would like to, just my personal opinion, look at the collections process, look at the amnesty process again, and see how many actually came in last time, I can't remember.
Okay.
And then look at a community service
I agree.
option too.
Yep,
Just
echoing
more
all
information on
three.
those three things would be helpful, I think, before we move on.
Okay, yep, we can do that.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I
Thank
support
you.
what she says.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Ed?
Cool.
You have any-
Nothing?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Listening to you guys and, getting the answers from His Honor and from your Holly.
Penny.
Penny, yeah. I've gotten just about all the answers. I mean, I know what I would go with. Collection,
Collections, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it could be a combination of these three
Yeah,
things too.
could be more than just one.
An
yeah.
amnesty day and then going to collections after that. And that
Yeah.
depends on too what the contractor charges, for.
Oh, yeah.
these
You'd
collections.
have to put it out for
Percentage, the
bid.
percentage of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
collections agencies usually, they collect a percentage of whatever they
Yep.
collect.
They're
They don't
collecting.
pay them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because-
that's the way it works, it's like 25% or 30% of whatever's collected.
Oh, okay.
They keep, so they're aggressive about it because
They
that's
get
how
money.
they were gonna make any money, so the city wouldn't be paying them anything other than what they were able to collect.
And it is statutory. There isn't a statute that allows municipal courts to collect from a collection agent. You have
Okay.
a collection agency collect a fee. The maximum amount is 33%, I believe it is, and
Okay.
that's based on what they collect. So, but
Good.
we can write
Thank you.
what we need to into a contract that could be negotiated, but that's completely up to you guys in what direction you want.
Sounds good.
I'm good for that too.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Jen.
Thank you.
All right, next up is presentation of solid waste operations survey results. Hey Trevor, you've been working on some big projects lately.
Yeah, they're keeping me busy.
I know.
Take it, Trevor, take it.
Take it away.
He made the mistake of showing he's competent.
I
Now we
know,
like to-
on day one.
Yeah, too.
Cool. All right, so good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm just gonna go over the survey results that I think it was last week or the week before we passed out at the commission meeting. So this is just in a different view really, and then if you have any feedback or comments. So really, what we were trying to do is from back in June, I think is the first time we brought any different kind of data to you guys about cost analysis of different options. But it was your guys' direction to put out a survey to the public and to see what they would like us to do. So we did get a lot of feedback. A lot of it was kind of open-ended. A lot of it was critical, but a lot of it was good too, so that's always good to hear. So in total, we had about 775, almost 800 responses.
That's good.
Within the survey itself, there was like a 75% completion rate, and there were 272 responses to the open-ended question at the very end. So as far as the general satisfaction went, I think it was good to see that there was a 3.5% rating. We put it on a 1 to 5 scale, and 3.5% of people thought that service was good. It was
3.5
No.
out of 5 stars.
Out of five, oh.
5 stars. Yeah, sorry. I misspoke. So 55% of people were satisfied or very satisfied, which is good to see. But that does leave room for actionable insight. What could we improve? Overall, there was a 15% rating of dissatisfaction. So as far as the ratings of each individual option, we put it on a scale to where people basically had the opportunity to say whether or not the cost increase would be worth the dollar, or whether the cost increase would be worth, what would be improved. And a lot of it was operational, so it was a little bit difficult to kind of provide necessary information without giving them super complicated details. But
Would you explain this graph? Because I looked at this before and I have a hard time understanding. Understanding it.
Yeah, so on the bottom,
Your x-axis, left to right.
so the x-axis would be the estimated rate increase, and that's just by dollars. So
Okay.
for option one, we predicted that it would be about $340 increase a month. That was option two. Option one, we predicted it'd be about $360 or $370, I think. But really, that's where it moves this way, I guess, on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, that was the favorability, or whether or not they thought that that option would be worth the dollar increase. And so the size of the dot basically just represents the amount of people who actually answered the question out of the almost 800 people who filled it out.
So the larger the dot, the more confidence you can have in the result of the graph, if that makes sense. So the 693 responses, you can be pretty confident that there's about a 50% favorability for option one, for example, whereas option four, our smallest dot, you can have slightly less confidence that that number matches the favorability of it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looked like that was the top.
So it had the highest favorability in terms of the responses, but it had the fewest number of responses.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So the more responses you get, the more confident you can be in the data, correct? Does that
All
make
right,
sense?
got it. That's confusing. And I studied statistics, but I'm still having trouble.
I think it's called a bubble graph. is what
Yeah,
it's
it's
called.
fine.
Yeah, it's kind of new.
I understand that, but I still,
confusing to
yeah.
put, but
Okay, got it.
there's different things to consider, so I guess it was kind of hard to convey too. But yeah,
We won't put that one out on.
No, it's too confusing.
so now going back to the second to last question, I believe it was, where it was, you had to answer just one. If you were to choose one of the options, which would you pick? And we saw option two had the greatest response. Following that, 3, and then 1, or 0, where nothing was changed. But really, I think that's just kind of good insight into
That's good.
what direction the public wants to move, yeah. And then as far as the open-ended responses that we received, I just kind of laid it out. We had 272 unique responses. Some of those people touched on several different things. This was just the way that we use SurveyMonkey as the platform. This was the way that they gave it back to us. I think they gave us 23 different categories of responses, and then I just kind of broke them down into what you're seeing here, as far as the bullet points under the little banners go. But what it looked like was that a lot of people had questions about recycling. The other one I saw a lot of was bulky pickup or bulky item pickup. That could be something to explore as well, but could be parallel operations as well. I think a transfer station or something like that could open up the opportunity to it, but that would need direction, so.
Yeah, that's a good graph. That's a good one. I think people will understand that.
So before we get to your question, just a couple of conclusions that I kind of want to draw on this is, first of all, there's clearly an appetite for recycling in the city and apparently a willingness to pay for it. which I was surprised by. The other thing is I want to reflect what the actual satisfaction of survey respondents is versus what you read on Facebook. Because
Yeah.
85% of respondents were at least somewhat satisfied with our service. If you go on Facebook, it's 85% think it's the worst thing you've ever seen. And so, we are all guilty of reading that one negative comment or that one negative post and thinking, man, this is reflective of our service. It may not be. And so not to say that those comments are invalid, I'm just saying they may not be reflective of how the whole community feels about a community-wide service. And so I think the survey, I was really happy with how many people responded to the survey. At the end of the day, I think that the team put a good one together, and I was happy with the results personally. And so I think it provided some good guidance there.
Yes.
My only concern with there's nothing we can do about it, was, some of the comments were like, in Lansing, we have great trash. Why are you taking our trash service if you live in Lansing?
Yeah, why are you talking
Right.
about
And there were
it?
several of those, so I don't know if all that is Leavenworth.
Leavenworth.
And I don't know, I guess, how we would have, besides putting in the address, but,
So in a more complex survey, we would have done math to calculate for whatever the
Right,
term is
but-
called,
this is what we were looking for,
Right.
so. But, great
it's a good
job.
direction.
Those graphs are great, and you did a great job. per
I'd
usual.
like to thank Melissa too. She really was the one who put it all together, and then I was kind of just advising her, so
Yeah.
she did a lot of work on it
Good.
too.
Good.
Our Public Works Department also helped a lot, so.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a trash complaint in a while.
Me neither. Me neither.
They've been picking mine up early.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, mine were.
Brian's nodding.
The weather has
vigorously
been
back there.
good, so.
Go out there and help
Because they
out
know your
sometime.
address.
So the weather has been good, and also up until the last couple of weeks, we've been relatively stably staffed, which has helped.
Yeah.
I think we lost a couple here recently, so that may be an issue, but.
Yeah, you don't want to say it's good, because then
Yeah,
they
knock on wood.
fall behind again.
The issue which Brian has been, screaming from the rooftops and is accurate is, weather permitting and staff permitting, we have just enough to maintain the service. The problem is we have very little margin for error.
Ah, yeah.
And so that's what our goal is with next year and moving into the future, the transportation, all that, is to increase that margin of error so that we can make sure that service is provided when we are down-staffed or a truck is down or whatever. So,
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah. No, and I will say too, they do a great job. I mean, when I was first looking into it, it was really interesting to see it's really just bigger cities, I feel like, that kind of maintain their own solid waste collection. So I thought it was really neat that Leavenworth has been able to maintain that service. But
Yeah. Yeah, I wondered if you'd get comments about the big item pickup, because
Oh,
when
yeah.
I called in, it was at least a month before I could get
It
picked
is.
up. And
Yeah, just take it to the trash
And they
station.
offered to do it that week, and I said, nope. I will wait
Yeah.
my turn.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, that's all that's on the agenda. Scott, do you have anything?
I don't think I have anything, unless you guys have questions.
No, we haven't. Brian, have we seen any major rate increases on salt this year?
They're extremely expensive.
Okay, it just crossed my mind when we were talking about weather, I'm like, man, we
Every
gotta
time I
be,
glance over there, I
I'm
see
sure we'll
their
hear about
face.
salt
People.
coming up here, so.
Your daughter.
Oh, sorry. She did that to my phone.
Yeah.
Cool,
Oh, speaking of bids, though,
Should
10th
have
and
mine
limit
out,
bid
you'd see
opening
my
is this week,
grandkids
right?
on it.
Tomorrow. 10th and limit bid opening is tomorrow. There's my
Yay.
update for you guys.
cool,
Good.
cool. I
Good,
don't have
good.
anything else.
Griff, you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Nancy?
I don't have anything, I'm on the mend, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Ed, do you have anything?
No, I asked for a couple of things from you. One of them being a job description.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, you know what? Also, a constituent asked me, well, what's your job description?
Oh, a job description for us.
Yeah.
I thought you were applying for a job.
Oh, no, come on. Come on.
Police, we need police officers.
Actually, I am too old to do that.
I thought we did have a job description, I guess we don't.
But yeah, I don't know that, when he asked me, what's your job description?
I would point him to the Code of Ordinances, because it's outlined what your
I'm pretty sure we
responsibilities are.
have one, yeah.
Yeah,
I am pretty sure. we
And
have one.
apparently our pay,
Yeah.
That is in there as well, yes. And it's,
what?
our pay.
Oh,
Our per diem,
Bowling.
wouldn't call it salary, call it per diem.
I tell people it's an honorarium.
It is.
You got, cool guy, you got?
Yeah, man, I just say just enjoy this beautiful weather that's going on outside, and, man, God bless you, and hope you all have a great week.
All right, well, we are within days of Camp Leavenworth,
Absolutely.
so looking forward to that. I think the 5K walk is doing, or run, walk, has got a lot of participants. I have not looked at the weather yet, but
We did move the time on the 5K run.
I saw that.
To account for the gin blossoms, so
I saw
for those,
that.
anybody who's looking to go or attend, make sure you have the accurate time.
What time?
It's moved from, it has moved from 10 o'clock to a 10:15 start. They needed to do some setup on the stage.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So with that, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Absolutely.